I have in front of me a 60 watt high bay LED bulb. Now we've decided to add on a range of high bay bulbs into our range of energy saving LED bulbs simply because there's a niche in the market here for a really high-end bulb, which this is. We have an expectation in terms of energy saving of between 50 and 80%, depending on what bulb you're changing from. And in terms of life expectancy, because we went with Manhattan Lights here, who've manufactured this on our behalf, it is a life expectancy of the bulb between 35 and 50,000 hours. So it's available with a standard 3-year, 24 hours a day warranty in terms of continuous use. But we can extend that out as an option to 5 years as well, and we're willing to give a warranty on that simply because these lights just won't fail. So why will this be a huge saving for people? Well, there's two key issues here. The first thing is that the change out process is extremely simple. We'll demonstrate this in a few moments' time. And the other thing is that payback period is enormous. So if we compared it, we'll say, to the three main competitors within the market, we'll say a metal halide bulb. The 60 watt would be the equivalent of a 120 watt bulb. It's a very, very, very straightforward change out process. And you have a payback period on a 24-hour cycle usage in about 8.5 months. If you were comparing it to a CFL equivalent, the payback period for a change out would be about 6 months in terms of direct power usage. And if we're comparing it against HPS or high pressure sodium, the 60 watts equivalent of about a 250 watt, and the payback period there would be about 4 months or 4.5 months. So very, very impressive. So if we look at the actual product itself, it comes in this outer box here. So you can see all the key specifications on it. It has just an instruction thing here and also a quick overview of how it would bypass the ballast, which I'm going to explain in a moment's time. And we have the bulb itself, and then we have the safety feature here. We can actually clip this onto the bulb. I'll just show you here, and then we can attach that directly onto the frame, so it's just any possibility of the bulb falling out when we're changing and fitting we can eliminate. So what would we be changing it out for? Well, this is the traditional bulb we're changing it out with. So I've already retrofitted our own factory simply because the payback period is so quick. It's been very, very impressive for us. So if we came along and we looked at this particular bulb here, we can see the tread is identical, but the bulb itself, the new LED one, is much larger, and that's because it has a built-in fan and it also has the ballast, etc. Built into it. And just to give you an overview of how simple the changeover is, the first thing to note is that the bulb will slot directly into the existing frame. So inside this one here that we've retrofitted from a metal halide bulb over to the LED, we're able to use exactly the same frame, still with the glass base in place. And in terms of what we'd need our electrician to do, well, other than change out the bulb itself, we just unscrew this here, cover, and just open it up, and we can see, we can just bypass all the ballast, etc. that was there, just go directly mains, straight down into the bulb. So it's incredibly simple. And certainly if you're fitting for the first time, you'd never consider going with halogen, you'd always go with something like this. But the retrofitting process, you're looking at no more than maybe about 10 or 15 minutes for the electrician to be able to wire it and have it up and running. So in our own situation, what we're finding is that we're using something like the 60 watt in the warehouse to cover aisleways, things like this, and the larger LED bulb that we have would be using directly onto, let's say, a packing area, something like that, where you need more intense light. I'm just going to give a demonstration here quickly of this in action, so you can just give an idea of the quality of the cleanness of the white light. So what I've done here is just turned it on. I'm just going to lift this up quickly. And we can see here, so it's instantaneous. So anybody who has experience, just drop this back, we'll knock the lights back on there, Ryan, of a metal halide. But notice one thing is that when we turn it on, it takes a little while to light up, where this is instantaneous. And also another disadvantage of metal halide is, if it's already warm, you knock it off and turn it back on, it actually takes a period of time before it'll come back on. You could be in the darkness for a few minutes. So something like this is absolutely fantastic in terms of how it come along. The reason that we opted to go with this particular design and enter the market at this point is that we've been able to partner with Manhattan Lights. So they've chosen the chipset Epistar, so that's able to give us the period of between 35 and 50,000 hours. So what we're trying to do is, we've given the calculations earlier, we'll say, based on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In our own applications here, we'd have long periods, but maybe not the full number of days in the week. So what we're looking at is a payback period for the metal halide directly over of probably about a year and a half or so. But for us, that's a great return on investment, particularly when we're looking at something, a bulb on our particular things that would be hoping that will only be changing the bulbs because of the reduced level of usage we have on them of maybe between 10 and 20 years, which is definitely going to be a huge savings for us in terms of maintenance costs as well. So that's it anyway, an overview of the 60 watt high bay LED bulb available on freetv.ie.